Hello all! Today I want to talk to you about one of my favorite historical hyperfixations, which is the Titanic. So first I wanted to tell you a little joke. Did you know that the pool on the Titanic is still filled with water? I'll let that sink in. Hopefully that wasn't in poor taste, but I'm not here to talk about the pool. I'm actually here to talk about a staircase, and that's the lore of the Titanic Grand Staircase. And just like any good folklore, the lore of the Grand Staircase is steeped in fact. So let's dive in. That was another one. Anyways, so one of my favorite facts to tell somebody when I'm geeking out about the history of the Titanic is that there is actually no known photographs of the Titanic Grand Staircase. Any pictures that you see are either from its sister ships, the Britannic or the Olympia. And a lot of this information I got from a cool website that is called the Iconic Photo of the Titanic's Grand Staircase is actually of another ship. So anytime you see the Grand Staircase, it is not of the Titanic. Any photos that we actually do have are thanks to a priest who is from Ireland that was on a 2-day cruise on the Titanic. When it first set out, it went from England to Ireland to pick up passengers that were then intended to go to New York. Fortunately didn't make it, but when his name is Father Brown, and when he got on the ship, he was there for 2 days, took all kinds of pictures of the innards of the ship, and he also took a couple pictures of the ship floating, which are some of the only pictures that we have of the Titanic actually floating in the water. They came from this amateur photographer, the priest, Father Brown. And I got a lot of that information from a website called The Photographer Who Captured the Titanic Before It Sank. So thank you, Father Brown, because otherwise we would not have any pictures of the Titanic hardly at all. So the Titanic was built in the same shipyard as the Britannic and the Olympia, like I have mentioned, and they used a lot of the same materials, a lot of the same blueprints. They were built by RMS White Star Line, and they were marketed as unsinkable, as this article that I found mentions. It's called The Unsinkable Ship, How the Titanic Was Built, from Lucy Davidson. Unfortunately, we do know that the ship was not unsinkable, but it was marketed as such. They were building luxury cruise liners to try to get some money into a sinking business. So they were trying to make a little bit of money by building these ships, and unfortunately I don't think it went their way. So another one of my favorite facts to tell people is what happened to the staircase, because no pieces of the staircase were actually ever recovered. So when James Cameron was filming Titanic in 1996 for the movie that was released in 1997, he built the Grand Staircase to scale with a lot of the same materials that were mentioned earlier in the article, The Unsinkable Ship, How is the Titanic Built? It mentions a lot of the materials that were used. So he did a lot of research, did a lot of dives to actually go see the Titanic, and so they built it to scale. And once they were done filming all the romantic scenes with Leo and Kate, they did a reenactment of what had happened when the ship was sinking. All the water came in. So they did a reenactment. They had all the water rush in through a glass dome that was built over top of the staircase, and all the water rushed in, and there was so much pressure that the stairs that they had built actually lifted up from the set base, floated out through the dome, and then floated away. And so they surmise that this is actually what could have happened to the original staircase on the Titanic and why it was never found. So that is some lore for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed telling you. Bye, guys.